Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for Tuesday, July 29th. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over my core picks. It's going to be 5 players in total, 1 pitcher, 4 hitters. It's going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective opponent, as well as some recent history. And then after that, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for Tuesday's slate overall. In the morning, I'll be listing my early morning weather report that have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher, and then I will be listing as many of these starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon and early evening down in that comment section as well. So definitely make sure that you are checking up down there, especially as we do get closer to lock, so that you do have all the relevant information. But without further ado, we'll get right into the core picks. We're going to start off at that pitcher position with Sonny Gray of the St. Louis Cardinals. He's at $8,900, pretty discounted price tag for him at this point in time. He's averaging 31.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Miami Marlins. He's got pretty good history versus them in the past, although it is kind of limited history at that. And if we take a look at what Sonny Gray has been able to do so far this season, he's got 10 wins. ERA is up to 4.33 at this point in time. He's had a couple rough starts as of late, but definitely do like the upside versus Miami Marlins lineup. And once again, he's currently averaging 31.5 fantasy points per game at $8,900. Then we move down to our hitters. We're going to start off at first base with Wilmer Flores. He's at $2,600, averaging just over 8.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Going against the Pittsburgh Pirates, Bailey Falter is the expected starting pitcher for them. He is 1 for 2 versus Bailey Falter in his career. He has at least 1 hit in 4 out of his last 5 games, 2 multi-hit games during that time span, 1 home run, and 2 double-digit performances. Obviously, he is still in play for Monday night's game as we do record this video, so we'll see what he does on Monday night as well. If we look at what he's done so far in the season, 248 average, 12 home runs, 59 RBIs. Once again, he's averaging over 8.5 fantasy points per game at $2,600. And then we move down to third base with Royce Lewis. He's $2,700, averaging just over 7.5 fantasy points per game on the season. He's going against the Boston Red Sox. Lucas Giolito is the expected starting pitcher for them. He is 2 for 2 with 1 home run versus Lucas Giolito in his career. And he has at least 1 hit in 6 out of his last 8 games, 5 multi-hit games during that time span. And he has 3 home runs, 5 double-digit performances, and 6 games with at least 9 fantasy points or higher. So he's been doing really, really well as of late. And if we look at what he's done so far in the season in totality, 238 batting average, 5 home runs, 28 RBIs. Once again, averaging just over 7.5 fantasy points per game at $2,700. Looks like a really good paydown option on this slate overall. Then we're going to move down to shortstop with Zach Nieto of the Los Angeles Angels. He's at $3,300, and he's currently averaging just under 12 fantasy points per game on the season. He's going against the Texas Rangers. Patrick Corbin is the expected starting pitcher for them. He is 4 for 6 with 1 home run in his career versus Patrick Corbin, so some pretty good history there. If we look at what he's done as of late, the most recent history, not the greatest. He's got at least 1 hit in 2 out of his last 4 games. Both those games were multi-games, though. 3 double-digit performances during that time span. But if we go back a little bit further, he had a modest 9-game hitting streak prior to the last 6 games. So betting on a little bit of that upside with Zach Nieto today. He's at a 273 batting average, 15 home runs, 38 RBIs. Once again, averaging just under 12 fantasy points per game at $3,300. And then last but not least, we're going down on Max Kepler at $2,800. He's averaging just over 7.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Not been the greatest year for him overall, but he is going against the Chicago White Sox on Tuesday. Jonathan Cannon is the expected starting pitcher for them. He is 2 for 2 versus Jonathan Cannon in his career. He has at least 1 hit in 4 out of his last 6 games. Only 1 multi-hit game during that time span, 1 home run, and 2 double-digit performances. So the floor might be a little bit lower for Max Kepler, but I'm still banking on some of that upside with him and an attractive matchup overall. If we look at what he's done so far on this season, 205 batting average, 11 home runs, 32 RBIs. Once again, he's averaging just over 7.5 fantasy points per game at $2,800. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do currently have listed here, you have $14,700 remaining, just under $3,700 remaining per player. So I have 4 hitters from 4 different teams here. Obviously, you don't have to play all 4 together. Stacks will play a pretty big role overall. It's a 12-game main slate, so definitely feel free to mix and match those stacks as you do see fit. But with that being said, we'll get moved over my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for Tuesday's slate overall. So we're going to start off with the New York Yankees. They're going against the Tampa Bay Rays, and Joe Boyle is the expected starting pitcher for them. Pretty limited history versus him in the past. Anthony Volpe would be the one standout there who's done well against him. Aaron Judge would be another, but he just went on the IL, so we're not going to be playing him, but definitely do like into this Yankees lineup just in general. And then we move over to the Philadelphia Phillies going against the White Sox. Jonathan Cannon on the mound. Very limited history versus him in the past. It's really just Max Kepler who's faced him before, but still a good amount of upside to be had there. And then we move over to the St. Louis Cardinals. They're going against Sandy Alcantara. Not a long list of history there versus him in the past, but they have hit him pretty well. Whether that's Alec Burleson, Wilson Contreras, and Ivan Herrera, those would be the three standouts. But definitely feel free to mix and match some others from that Cardinals lineup at the same time as well. And then last but not least, we have the San Diego Padres going to get Sean Manaea. Really good history versus him in the past. He did have a good start versus them last year. Hasn't pitched like too deep in the game so far this season, so there is a little bit of upside to be had there. Obviously, if he goes out and starts walking guys on any given start, there is some potential extra value to be had there at that. So definitely a lot of ways that Padres lineup could pay off overall. But with that being said, these are my core picks as well as top GPP teams to stack for Tuesday, July 29th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Once again, in the morning, I'll be listing my early morning weather report that I'll have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then I'll also be posting as many of these starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon and early evening. So definitely make sure that you are checking up down in that comment section so that you do have the most up-to-date and relevant information as we do head into lock. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking it out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now we have MLB DFS in terms of the core picks, typically Monday through Friday. This week there will not be one for Thursday slate, as it is a very tiny slate just in general. And then also be on the lookout for my CFL DFS video that I do post up once a week, typically on Wednesday, so definitely feel free to check that out if that's something you're interested in as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user to either one of those sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you'll get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks, it's a 100% match up to $100, and then for BetUS, it's a 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport. I'd be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS for Tuesday, July 29th.